So Sura is meditation trainer and coach, right? And also an author of a best-selling book, Sura Flow. And the topic which we decided to talk about is, of course, effortless meditation. And straight away, Sura, I want to ask, what do you mean by the term effortless meditation? Because it is a little bit unexpected. Meditation is supposed to be effortless. So I would like to say also, could you maybe compare it to what is another kind of meditation, maybe not effortless?
Sure. I would say that when I first started learning how to meditate, it was very much grounded in the traditions of meditation, which is quite a bit of mental effort and starting there in the mind. And with effortless meditation, it's an energy-based meditation approach. And we very much go into the heart and the body and also energy. So it's finding this other gateway through relaxation and allowing yourself to experience flow energy that you're able to really harness various aspects of meditation so that you can begin to experience true flow in your everyday life, like synchronicity, for example. Mm-hmm. So it's just the art of effortless flow.
So I'm going to ask, of course, because I have to, will you give us this experience today? We have about an
Yes, of
hour.
course. I'd love to. I'd love to. It's
Okay.
a simple 3-step process, and it's all here in the book, actually, if you would like to check it out. And it starts with relaxation. That's the first step. And the second step is heart listening. And then the third step is intention setting. So closing with intention. But basically, I share my story in the book of going to India and Asia. I left corporate America in New York City. I was working on Wall Street, and I was at the height of my career as vice president of institutional sales. And I was like rock bottom in my personal life. And that's when I discovered meditation, and I started with Zen meditation. So, that was counting your breaths backward from 10 to 1 over and over again. And so basically I became so, I transformed through this practice, and I decided that I was going to leave New York and my corporate work to go to Asia. So that's what I did. I devoted, full-time study to go to India. And when I went to India to practice, I wanted to learn yogic meditation. And I ended up finding a teacher. I studied Sanskrit, practiced the Yoga Sutras, Ashtanga yoga. And what ended up happening is that my health and my hormones became incredibly imbalanced. So I stopped having my period. I lost a lot of weight. I looked more masculine than feminine.
Oh my
And
God. As a
yeah.
result of doing all these practices.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We
And
definitely
doing
have to
them
go
too
deeper into
hard.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just taking it so seriously because I was really learning by the book, the 8 limbs, and I was practicing so rigorously, the diet, the breathing exercises, and it threw my health out of whack. And
Wow.
when I reflected on it, I was able to get my health back when I did a 10-day cleanse in Thailand. I fasted for 10 days, and it reset my menstrual cycle, and everything went back to normal. But I came back to the United States and I started reflecting on, why did everything just go awry? Like, why did I stop looking like myself, being like myself? I was contemplating this and I said, oh, wow, yoga was created 5,000 years ago
Yeah.
by a man for other men.
Hmm.
Women weren't allowed to practice yoga. And if you
Wow.
think about it, many of the traditions of meditation have all been founded and shared from a masculine perspective or
Hmm.
by men. And across all spiritualities and faiths, it's more male consciousness based, right? You have Buddha, yoga, Christianity, Judaism, Islam. And so it's all, very one-sided because I felt what was missing for me in meditation was the feminine energies. It was the creative feminine, this permission to be soft or sensual, permission to be in my sexual energy, not, because a lot of the traditions, it's about controlling and transcending. So it's controlling and transcending the mind, the emotions, the body, the sexual energy. And so with the feminine way, it's about going into them, feeling them, experiencing it, not trying to restrict or suppress your experience.
Wow, this is a very, very interesting thing you just brought up, because I never actually looked at it from that aspect, that so many traditions are actually founded by men. Sura, how did you, because obviously when people go into practices, it's an effort for us to to actually start practicing properly. How did you discover, how did you even come to that conclusion? Because it's almost sacrilegious, if I can use that kind of language, to suddenly say like, oh no, yoga, at least in that shape, maybe is not for me. Where did you find that? How did this shift happen? How did you even got the courage to say like, wait, something which is 5,000 years old might not work for me?
Yeah, no, it stayed with me as a secret within me for years. So I realized it for myself, but I didn't come out and really say that. So what I ended up doing, because I went back to Los Angeles after I traveled throughout Asia and I studied for a couple years. I went to LA and I was asked to teach meditation. And I really had no idea how to teach meditation. And even as I was teaching meditation, I thought to myself, I still don't get it. Like I'm not getting it. Like I can share it, I can guide it, but I'm missing something. And so I decided after a couple of years of teaching, and I was teaching at a few studios, that I was going to leave LA, and I went into retreat in a small remote island in British Columbia. So that's in Canada, and it's called Salt Spring Island, about 10,000 people. And it was there that I wanted to be in retreat and just in nature and solitude. So I found a little cottage on a lake without electricity or heat, or, there was nothing there. It was very rustic, no internet, no phone, nothing like that. So, and that's where I started to learn meditation. And when I was sitting and practicing, I could feel how rigid I was. I was so disciplined and so tense. Everything for me was very serious and stern. And I was like, I need to relax and let this go. Like, I really just need to cry like for a while, and I didn't have that permission. When I was at a yoga ashram in India, it was like, go, go, go. Every hour of your day was planned and you were with a huge group of people. It wasn't appropriate to, cry your eyes out and have this huge emotional release that often comes up, the healing that you go through when you go deep into spiritual practice. I didn't feel, safe enough to have that kind of release. And it was in nature and solitude that I realized how much I had suppressed my own feminine energy because I just didn't feel safe in that part of my being. It was a part of my being that was gentle and soft and sensual and allowing and nurturing. And these were the qualities that I really needed to bring to raise the vibration of my practice and go to a whole new level in meditation. And that's how I noticed when you really have the inner flow and you begin tapping into that place, that the outer world begins to match your inner world, and you start to see synchronicity and manifestation happen effortlessly. Just thought becomes form and you're intuiting and things are coming together much better than you could have ever imagined or planned.
So I see that some people are leaving questions. So yes, you're welcome to leave questions. Sura, I'll just ask one logistical question. How much time should I reserve for us to do a little practice with you?
Okay. Maybe I would just say about 7 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. Then I know, because I have my questions that I want to ask, but I also want to give a chance for people to ask questions. And I would like to leave the practice to the second half so that, we talk first and then we relax.
Okay.
So I want to ask this thing. You know, I can really relate because I've taught meditation in the context of Silva method, so more like logistically kind of. And I often hear people saying like, how do I know that I'm actually meditating, that I'm actually at alpha level or whatever level? And how do I get rid of the thoughts and all this, I have to. And being a perfectionist myself, I actually was like a Hermione, you know, in school. I studied well, everything had to be perfect. I get it. If you go into practice, you have to do it perfect. And then it's a lot of stress. So I'll first ask this question in that context, but then I want to go deeper with that. How do you actually let go? Because it's, sorry for an interesting analogy or weird analogy. When you deliver a child and you're in pain, you're supposed to relax because that releases the pain, but you're in pain, you contract because that's the natural reaction. So relaxing when you're contracting is kind of counterintuitive, but it is what is needed. So with meditation also, if you're trying so hard, how do you do this letting go part? Because letting go seems like a simple concept, but it's also so complicated and so hard sometimes, especially if you're trying so hard.
Yes, and you hit the nail on the mark with that, because when you're in pain, that's where you go, right? But we're hardwired for that. That's why it's so hard, because we have survival brain, and our survival brain goes into fear mode, which is more, and we start to keep it up here. So I don't know if any of you out there have meditated and you're mostly concentrating in your brain, in the prefrontal area of the brain, and that's where most of your attention and energy is, and that's actually where all the thinking happens. That's the beta brainwave state. And so if you can learn how to rein it in and come into your center, even the center of your brain, the center of your heart, and just start to really tune into your energy and the way that your energy is flowing, for example, through your body, because we have this creative life force energy that we can tap into through spiritual practice. And that's like a super highway system that runs through us, right? Like all the channels and meridians of our energy body. And we can become aware of this. And so I think it's also where you place your attention and your awareness, but to also understand that we're hardwired to be in past future thinking. So we are reversing a lot of what feels natural for our brain, or you could say automatic. You're reversing that process through meditation by consciously slowing down and learning how to work with energy. So you'll notice that when you feel chaotic, right? The energy feels like this. It's scattered, it's all over the place, it's hopping. And when you start to meditate, the energy, the prana begins to settle and it begins to come into stillness. And it's in this dynamic stillness that you begin to experience oneness or bliss, self-realization. And this is the purpose of meditation, is to experience this bliss consciousness that we always have access to. And if you're really there, you begin to feel this energy flow, just like almost a blissful energy flow moving through all parts of your being. And it's being happy for no reason. It's feeling really energized and bubbly and joyful for no reason. It's just bubbling up inside of you. And you're tapping into this infinite well of this happy energy that's very natural. That is our true nature. And that's how you know, because you just start to feel really, really like high level, but for no reason. So
you'll know when it's the right thing, right?
absolutely. And you feel it because you feel that oneness, you feel the connection, you feel like you are existence. You don't feel that sense of separation.
I'll ask a practical question. We all understand the value of meditation and we understand that it's good, but sometimes when life is just too busy and you have, back-to-back meetings and complicated days, and you sometimes skip it. Like sometimes you skip taking a shower. I do not know if people do that. But I believe they do occasionally, just don't say that. And because I wouldn't say that I struggle with that, but it's just such a weird thing. You understand that this is exactly when you need to meditate because you're in a rush. But then it just doesn't. It feels like, yeah, nothing is going to happen. So I'll skip one day, and then this one day stretches into a week, and then sometimes into months, and sometimes like me being a sorry for bragging, like a meditator with a long experience, I'm like, never mind, I can meditate while I walk. I'll meditate on the go. So how do you convince yourself or motivate yourself to actually be a little more diligent with that?
I think it's when you start tapping into that nectar of meditation and that real benefit. I think some people will skip it because they find it so hard to enter the zone. So maybe they don't have the benefit of how much energy they've actually put into their practice. But once you start to experience the benefit, and I would say the kind of the result of meditation, of the flow, because you know what it's like too, Kristina, if you've missed meditation, the way things are flowing in your life changes, right? It has a different quality of flow or vibration. And so I think once you start to notice how it goes off kilter, how you start to feel off kilter or off balance or out of center, that's a strong point of motivation. But I think it's, when you experience that bliss, you feel more motivated to stay consistent with your practice. But what I also feel, Kristina, because the reason why 5,000 years ago women weren't allowed to practice yoga is because their job was to be the caretaker of the household and to take care of children. And, you're not really in a position to be spending your time just in solitude. And even in yoga in the ancient times, it wasn't until you retired from family life that you were allowed to practice 8 limbs yoga. You had to have completed your household family duties first. So what I feel for today and what Sura Flow is about making meditation modern for today, for our lifestyles today, because we live really differently today than we did 5,000 years ago. And moms, if you're a mom, your lifestyle is completely different. You don't have that luxury of 30 minutes in the morning sometimes. You've got little kids that you've got to tend to. And so what you need to do is be really tuned into energy and learn those energetic tools of grounding and centering. So I also teach another spin-off kind of from Suraflow, but it's called Telepathic Parenting or Energetic Parenting. And what it's based on is that your children reflect your energy and vice versa. So your children are tapped into your nervous system. So if your nervous system for any reason is unregulated, it can send them into dysregulation as well. So it's kind of like harmonizing the energy. And when you're in a grounded and centered place, you start to notice the flow differently with your kids and the way things are communicated, the way that they listen, the way that they respond, the way that they learn. And when we learn, we are most receptive to learning when our brain is relaxed. And that's why we start with relaxation, because you're working with receptivity and listening. Because I feel that meditation is so much more than just watching your mind, like kind of the mindfulness movement where it's just watching your thoughts. It's actually listening to something deeper than your thoughts, which is your inner guidance. And when you get tapped into your inner guidance, you could say your intuition, your higher self, your God self, that's when you really begin to tap into a powerful resource. That's your manifesting, I would say, potential is when you're able to intuit just based on that. And that's where women and men, which is so interesting because men kind of authored most of spirituality and religion, we're so different biologically and neurologically. So biologically, men have 30 times the testosterone. Women, we create life. Our bodies have the ability to do that. So just based on that fact, right, that, men have way more testosterone, they have way more physical strength, way more, you could say, aggressive energy or strong energy, physical energy. So they're more apt to burn off this physical energy before they can feel surrendered and relaxed Women, we're kind of forced to slow down because of our hormonal cycles. Like our bodies move with nature. We have to slow down when we're on our menstrual cycle. We have to slow down when we get pregnant. We move. Our bodies are so different. And also, what I started noticing when I was teaching women and men is that women gravitated towards certain kind of meditative practices, and men gravitated towards similar practices. So they liked focused meditation, concentration, something where maybe they could outperform in sports or in some,
Outperform in
some skill.
meditation.
I'm sorry?
Outperform in meditation.
Yeah, outperformance. And women love visualization and healing. So in the Sura Flow approach, it is visualization, healing, um, manifestation, which is set through intention. They're all just one skill. You're developing that one skill. And you can also combine energy healing with meditation as well. So when you combine energy healing and you have these amazing hands that generate energy here at the center of your palms, and you place your hands on your heart or anywhere on your body, you can start to generate that chi and get in touch with that divine intelligence, the life force energy, and move that energy in your body. So when you start moving that energy, and release blocks, for example, or past traumas or wounds, that's where your practice can really start to build. I would say you can start to build also the spiritual power, which you could also call health or vibration as well. It's just our ability to heal ourselves come into balance.
So I know there are quite a few questions. So Bianca, I'm at the point where I'm going to let someone also join us. So if you could find a popular question, but first I have to ask my question, of course. So you were talking just a little earlier right now about how children mirror maybe mother's energy to some degree. And I remember I used to joke when people said, "Oh, you have such good children." I heard this idea that we get the children with which we can deal or cope. So I was always joking that maybe I'm just so lousy that I need to have good children. But now, after what you said, I believe this is my achievement. I'm happy that my children are so good. But here's the question. Do we need to teach children to meditate, or how do you initiate children into that? Because a lot of parents, especially with smaller kids, would like their kids to learn this early on.
Teaching kids is very different than teaching adults. Kids are already there. They're close to source. They are their soul until 5 years old or so. And the way you share meditation with children is through playfulness, through imagination, by inviting them into that space of connection and calm and stillness. And oftentimes that's through, visualization of nature or animals, something that's fun and engaging for them. They're not going to just sit there like rigid in a lotus pose, counting their breaths over and over again. That, a child doesn't necessarily need to be in that space. For them, it's like their energy can be wild and chaotic, but they can also be invited into this space of calm and stillness. But for them, it's really playful. It's about the imagination and allowing them to open up that part of their brain and be creative. So I don't think that we should force children to learn how to meditate. But if you combine it, for example, with movement, something like dance or yoga, where it's fun animal movements and sounds, and then they get all the jitters out of their body, and then you gently invite them into that calm, relaxed space. Another thing that I teach for families or for children is healing touch. So I think a really wonderful way for parents to share meditation with their kids is just by engaging their senses. So engaging the like scent, smell through aromatherapy, sound healing. They love to have their senses stimulated, and children generally love to be touched and held. So if you can create that space, and I think a great time to do that is at bedtime before you go to sleep. You just get a few drops of lavender oil or something like that, and you rub your palms and you say, breathe into my hands, 3 times. Let's count together. And you say, you're breathing into a balloon. And now you're breathing out, and you kind of use this movement, because for them it's tactical. It's the movement and the joy of, being with you, being held and touched. Even if you caress their face just a few times, caress their eyebrows and hold their head, just that act of holding the head, the skull, right behind the skull, is so nurturing for their nervous system. And you create that bonding. So what you're doing through that practice is that you're calming and centering yourself, and then you're offering that space, in a sense, telepathically to your child, because you're sharing in that space with them.
Thank you. I think it's really beautiful explanation. Bianca, dear, do we have someone who's willing to join us?
Yes, I think we do. We have Clara, which has a question that got most of the votes. I see Clara is here with us. Clara, if you feel comfortable, you can only activate your microphone to ask the question yourself to our guest.
Clara is not. Oh, yeah. Now I can see Clara. Yeah.
Yes,
Cool.
yes, yeah. Hello, Clara.
Oh, hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. So the question is, and I thought about this meditation journey as well, to just go to India and to stay there for a couple of months. And I think a lot of people, they have the same ideas and to go much more deeper. But also at the same time, I realize when people come back from this spiritual journey, they will return different, right? You will have some enlightenment and some new knowledge. Do you feel like you are distant from your family? Like you come back to your home and you are surrounded by your family members and your friends, but they don't follow up the same way. They are not going through the same spiritual path as you. So do you feel like you're distant from them? Or how do you deal with that when you came back from India or the England island?
It was hard. I think anytime you go abroad and have a deep transformative experience, and then you come back to your homeland, that integration experience can be really challenging, and it can be isolating, and it can be lonely, because you feel that you've changed and nothing around you has really changed. So you see things with new eyes. And I know for myself, I felt depressed when I came back after having been to India and had this rich experience and met so many people and went really deep. And then, I came back to the United States, and it just felt so separate. And, the contrast was so dramatic. Right. There's a lot of consumerism, and it just felt like, we're all living very separate lives, and it felt disconnected. But, so it takes time. And then it takes time also to integrate back into society in the same way. So some people go, like, for example, I left my corporate work and that traditional path. And then I went to have this, free-spirited spiritual journey. And then I come back and it's like, what do I do for work? How do I come back to society?
Yes.
I don't want to do what I used to do. And, what do I do? How do I support myself? How do I make a living? And then there's that, right? Learning how to walk in both worlds, the real world, the spiritual world, and walk in both worlds. That's the hero's journey, coming back with your treasure and learning how to be part of society and serve your community.
How long it took you?
It took a long time, probably over 10 years, because when I came back, well, just the whole process, it was, I was teaching the whole time. I did sort of teach here and there, but, I was in retreat for a long time. That was years that I was in solitude retreat on my own, on and off, maybe about 7, 8 years that I was doing that. And then I started teaching meditation online or through the telephone, because it allowed me to still be off the grid. I could be somewhere off the grid traveling, but still connect with people. And I just trusted. I didn't know if I would have the money to sustain myself a retreat, but I just figured, God, you helped me get this far. I have the saying, when God guides, God provides. And I just figured if I could get this far, without, a certain amount of income, maybe it'll take me all the way. Maybe I'll go back to zero, and I can do that because I've been there. I've been to zero, and it wasn't, I know how to go from zero. So I thought, if worse comes to worse, I'll go back into corporate if I had to do that. But I really, really wanted to study. And that's what being in retreat allowed me to do. And it was just such a major gift, experiencing that. So
That's
I would
beautiful.
say take time and be compassionate with yourself when you go away and you come back. And I did feel changed. And I would say you go through changes, right, along your path. Because for me, another thing I want to share was that when I went to India and I came back, I was still confused about myself, right? I was a new kind of self, but I wasn't still yet my real self. There were parts of myself that I lost when I went to India, and I had to reclaim those parts back. For example, an example of this is my voice. When I went to India and I studied in Asia, it was all about being quiet and silencing yourself and not talking too much. And I was in silent retreats, and it was just, if you had an opinion, it was your ego. You could never stand strong in anything. So I really learned how to close down my throat chakra when I was doing a lot of these rigorous spiritual practices. So I came back and I wanted to be an expression, not in repression, but expression. And that's what I had to work back through. And that's what I felt some of these traditions, they don't really serve women today, or modern women, or people that want to cultivate more of their feminine energy. So yeah, instead of that restriction or transcendence and control, or repression or suppression, allowing, the feminine way is the allowance, the expression, letting it happen. So it's kind of a different, and we live in a very patriarchal society. We live in a society that's go, 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 do, do, do. So we're really programmed to be in that part of our energy. But, to be in this very yin, quiet, receptive part of our being, we don't have a lot of permission in our society today to be in that place, because it's seen as unproductive. It's seen as lazy. It's seen as, what are you doing? And I needed years of that to unwind a lot of things.
That was very helpful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks, Clara, for asking.
Yeah, thank you, Clara, for joining us. And for
thank you to. By the way, I love your earring. It's wonderful. I love that.
So cool.
Yes.
I wanted to tell you, Kristina, you look so great.
Yes. In a sense, it's a gift from Mind Valley Girls. We were at a party.
Oh.
Yes. And I thought it's appropriate for this.
And you have it on your left ear.
Yeah. Thank you for the compliment, and thank you, Clara, for joining us. And
thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Bianca, dear, if we have another question, I'll let another question be asked before we go into meditation. But I also wanted to comment on what you guys were discussing. I didn't want to interrupt it. What I've noticed, that the more I'm on this path of self-discovery and transformation, the easier it is for me to accept people in all the expressions. So the more I'm at peace with myself, the less I care that they might not understand me, or that they might make other choices in their life. So I think if our change and us not matching the surroundings is rubbing us the wrong way, that actually is a cool sign, because that means that there is still a path to go to come to peace with being different, with not being the same like the rest of the world. I just felt that I wanted to share my experience, because I came back to Estonia, to Europe, after 16 years living in Asia, and I realized I'm actually a little bit Asian now, but I also actually not that little bit Asian. But I also realized that, as much as we notice our own change, but the thing is that Estonia has changed so much, and it's such a different country. And sometimes this discontent is because actually, it's not what I remember it, and I cannot. Sometimes I feel like, oh my God, it was different, and now it's not that. So I guess my point is that you're more at peace with everything changing, with you changing, the world around you changing, when you just go deeper and you're at peace with yourself. Like the more I'm at peace with myself, the more I'm at peace with the people's quirks and weirdnesses. I just wanted to share that.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
So, Bianca, do we have someone else to come and join us?
Yes, we have Maria. Maria, I'm promoting you right now as a panelist to ask the question yourself. Feel comfortable and activate your camera and mic.
Hi, Maria.
Wait,
Yeah.
now? Hello.
Yay.
Hi there.
Wow, thanks for having me. Great. Thank you for the wonderful talk. I loved every minute of it. It was really, really beautiful. And my question is that also I'm on my spiritual journey and I'm meditating a lot. And thanks to Mind Valley, I have like now a repertoire of different methods of meditation. And I'm doing always different kinds of meditation. Like in the morning, I do the 6-phase formation, and then when I am tired during the day, I have some meditations from Kristina I do, and then I do some yes I do, and like yeah, the M word, or to boost my energy. And in the evening, I do something to calm down. Is it, in your point of view, okay to have that kind of huge repertoire of meditation techniques? Or would it be better to, be stable and do more the same kind of meditation throughout the day?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because traditionally we're taught to stick to one meditation technique in order to go deeper. For example, if you were to learn an instrument, to learn one instrument or one language first, and then you can basically become adept at the rest of the instruments or languages. But I think it's a free for all. Today, I have noticed that people, when you ask them what they practice, because we also offer meditation teacher trainings, a lot of times it's just a free flow meditation. No one sticks to one technique over and over and over again. They end up actually creating their own practice. And that's something I feel really strongly about, is helping people create a practice that resonates with them and brings them joy, because that's what's going to inspire you to meditate every day. And for some people, that's change. It's doing different things. Also, some people are really creative and they want to have a wide range of experiences. Although we do teach also to stick to a few techniques in the beginning so that you can learn what those techniques, the effect that it creates. For example, if you have an affirmation, there's kind of like 3 basic meditation approaches. If you took all the hundreds and thousands of styles, right? So you've got concentration, which you could call focused meditation. And that's really where you're giving the mind something to do. It's very active, right? You're concentrating, you're focusing. And then there is awareness meditation, which is an open monitoring. There's no applied technique. It's just allowing everything to come up as it is, the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings. And then the third basic kind is visualization, and using your imagination to relax or heal, or to imagine something that you'd like to create. So those are the 3 basic types, and it just helps to know what those types create. So for example, a lot of people love affirmations, and that goes under concentration. So that creates, an imprint in your consciousness and helps you to receive, for example, positive beliefs like I am love. So it helps to know what the practice is, you know, and sometimes if you feel all over the place, then you can, you know, kind of ground it back down again, work with a few techniques. But, you know, if it works for you, you're happy, go for it. I mean, you know, there's no, you know, I think in some of the traditional practices, you know, there's a guru, there's an external teacher telling you what you should be doing. And so with this, it's more allowing it to be internally guided and really feeling in for yourself what is feeling right for you. So if you're happy and it's working for you, that's what matters most.
Beautifully said. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Sura. And I am going to ask you now for the moment I guess most of us have been waiting for the most.
Okay, great. Lovely. It'll be wonderful to meditate with all of you in Europe. And are there any other questions or comments? It looks like there were so many amazing comments in the
If
thread.
we get time after the meditation, we'll maybe do another question.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Okay, everybody, wherever you are, find your comfy place. So it's just a seat where you feel completely at ease and relaxed in your body. And just take this moment to become aware of yourself. Gently scan your body starting at the feet, bringing your awareness up from the feet, the ankles, up through the legs, the hips, the core of the body, relaxing through the shoulders, the arms and hands, gently moving your awareness to your neck, the back of the skull, your brain, eyes, nose, jaw, teeth, and the back of your throat. Relaxing through the inner ears, the whole inner body. Gently soften and relax. And become aware of your energy. And imagine a gentle energy flow. You can envision the earth's energy flowing up through the bottoms of your feet, gently streaming through all the channels of your body, cleansing and releasing any stress or tension. Moving into the organs, the bones, your spine, your whole body, grounded, centered, and rooted. And gently draw your attention to your heart center, resting your attention in your heart. We'll take some heart breaths together. Imagine breathing in through the back of your heart, gently pausing at the center, and exhaling out through the front of the heart, relaxing, breathing in through the back of your heart, pausing, and exhaling through the front side of your heart. And one more breath like that. Breathe in new energy through the back of your heart and find a moment of stillness. And exhale through the front of the heart. Let it open and release. Let your heart be still. And gently listen to this sense of stillness. See if you can compassionately observe yourself. And send yourself loving kindness, unconditional love, and acceptance. If you like, you can place a hand on your heart just to take a listen and to feel the energy of your heart. And take this moment to contemplate, what does my heart really want? What is most important to your heart? What do you want to experience in this lifetime? And just be open to any impressions or feelings. With this clarity, create an intention for yourself. Perhaps it's an affirmation or a life intention, an inner prayer. And you can say it in a short, simple statement in the present tense. And in this place of surrendered stillness and peace, from your heart, repeat this several times with emotion and feeling and energy. And notice what it's like. to focus on your life intention. And allow yourself to receive it with full love and grace. Can gently bring your hands together in prayer, or keep your hands at your heart. Blessings and namaste. I'll play some chimes for you. Thank you, everyone, for meditating together. And this was an abbreviated version. I asked a few questions to help elicit the heart space listening. But that was a beautiful, peaceful practice with your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. To abandon me for a moment. Thank you, Sura, so much. And I would like you guys to also share how you feel right now. I actually really enjoyed the part of listening to my heart. And, it's interesting because the message evolved as we were meditating, because the first was this traditional, which I'm kind of used to hearing, that's what I want. And then it was like, okay, it's done, move on to the next one. So that was an interesting thing for me. But guys, maybe you remember I said that my guest today is very warm, light, cozy, and I would actually add super kind and loving. And that's exactly how I felt. So thank you so much, Sura, not just during meditation, but the whole time, for sharing this amazing energy with us. And unfortunately, we don't have time for another question. Sorry, guys. But I think it's okay, because we had such a beautiful meditation journey. In the end, it was worth sacrificing a little more just chatting to that experience. So thank you guys for joining us today. Traditionally, please leave a heart if you're in the chat here.
Wonderful.
My guest. And if you're not in the chat, if you're watching that in recording, which will happen sometime in the future, leave your heart in the comments for my guest, for Sura, for sharing your love, light, and warmth and kindness with us. Thank you, Sura, so much.
Thank you. And Kristina, would it be okay to share the link for the book?
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Yes.
Okay, so let me see if I can add that for everybody. Thank you so much for everybody joining. It was such an amazing, wonderful turnout. So I just put the link there for you if you'd like to check it out. And then also, if you ever would like to see the work that we offer, you can visit our website, if that's okay to share that. So it's suraflow.org. Suraflow. I would love to hear your thoughts about it as well. Awesome, Sherry. Cool. Thank you so much, Kristina, for this wonderful space. It was such a pleasure.
So thank you, everyone, and see you soon again.